What if one of America's most famous landmarks covered a hidden town? A town full of life, families, schools, and churches. A town erased by law, money, and silence. This is the true story of Seneca Village. In the early 1800s, New York City was growing fast. The southern tip was crowded. The north remained rocky, wild, and overlooked. Most city planners thought it useless, but free Black Americans saw opportunity. They bought land that others ignored. At that time, Black men could vote only if they owned property. Land was power. Land was survival. Families built homes with their own hands. Wooden houses stood proudly on hillsides. Gardens grew food. Fences marked boundaries. Churches became the heart of the community. Schools opened to educate children. Children played on streets that never appeared on official maps. By the 1830s, Seneca Village was thriving. Most residents were Black. Most owned their property. Many men could vote. This was unusual for America. It challenged the racial order. It proved that Black communities could prosper and sustain themselves. But change was coming. New York City grew wealthier. Land in the north became valuable. City leaders dreamed of a grand park, a symbol of progress, culture, and European elegance. They imagined wide lawns, pathways, and artificial lakes. But the land was not empty. People had already built lives there. So a story was written to justify removal. Newspapers called the village dirty and dangerous. They called it a slum full of crime. The claims were false, but the repetition made them believable. Public opinion turned. In 1853, the city acted. It used eminent domain to seize the land. Residents were offered compensation, but it was far below fair value. Some families fought back in court. They testified to their ownership. They showed deeds, evidence, and promises. The courts ignored them. In 1857, evictions began. Homes were torn down. Churches were destroyed. Graves were disturbed. Families were scattered across New York. Seneca Village vanished from maps. Official histories described the land as empty. Central Park rose in its place. It was praised, celebrated, and photographed. Millions visited without knowing the cost. For over a century, the village was forgotten. Then, archaeologists began investigating. They dug beneath the lawns. Foundations appeared. Artifacts emerged. Plates, shoes, children's toys, cooking pots. These were not abandoned structures. These were homes, schools, and families. Historians revisited records. Census data confirmed ownership. Court transcripts revealed injustice. Newspapers of the era were exposed as biased. Seneca Village had been removed deliberately. Its success made some uncomfortable. It challenged inequality and the social order. Its destruction became a blueprint. Highways, dams, and urban renewal followed the same logic. Communities were displaced, maps updated, people erased. The story was repeated across America. Black towns in Oklahoma were dismantled. Rosewood, Florida burned and vanished. Native villages in California and the West were destroyed. Appalachian towns disappeared for coal. Even white working-class neighborhoods suffered in some cities. But Seneca Village was first. It was an early lesson in erasure, and it shaped the way the country treated land, people, and history. Today, Seneca Village is slowly remembered. Plaques mark the site. Archaeology tells the story. Digital maps and archives give names to families. But acknowledgement cannot restore what was lost. It cannot rebuild homes or churches. It cannot reunite families. What it can do is change perspective. It teaches that progress often has a hidden cost. It reminds us that absence is often engineered. Every time a neighborhood faces displacement or a city reclaims land, Seneca Village echoes. It asks who decides what lives matter. It asks who is expendable in the name of progress. It asks whether maps tell truth or only power. The land of Central Park remembers. Beneath every path and lawn lies history. Beneath every tree lies families. Beneath every bench lies children who once played. Seneca Village was never empty. It was taken, hidden, and silenced. Now it returns through memory. Remembering is not nostalgia, it is justice, because forgetting benefits only those in power. Remembering challenges the narrative. Seneca Village reminds us of America's choices, of who is allowed to belong, of who is written out of maps, books, and memory. The town that was erased from maps was real. Its families existed. Its churches, schools, and streets existed. Its story cannot be erased again. Memory is a form of resistance. Recognition is a form of justice. And once remembered, the truth reshapes the present. Seneca Village is no longer gone. It lives in history, in memory, and in every conversation about who belongs. It reminds us that the land tells stories, and that every erased town has a voice if we are willing to listen. The American town that vanished beneath the park was never lost. It was hidden. Now it has returned, and its story still matters.